All right. Okay, perfect. Okay, yes, I'm getting the notification and we are live now. Amazing. Okay, hello everyone. My name is Alicia Fisher. I'm the Prevention Education Supervisor with the Kawartha Sexual Assault Center, and I'm here today with the wonderful Peyton Lebarr. Hi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm super excited, and I might be lagging too, so it'll eventually pick up. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine.
Okay, perfect. So we have another amazing group that's going to be happening with KSAC. Now, with the Kawartha Sexual Assault Center, we have individual counseling as well as a variety of group counseling options. And one of these options is Flow Creative Movement. So these are going to be happening every Wednesday in July from 1:30 to 3 p.m. You can email KSAC to register, but I have got the person who is running the program here. So Peyton Lebarr, can you introduce yourself, who you are, and why this is important to you?
Sure. Yes, so for those of you who don't know, my name is Peyton Lebarr, and I'm a theater artist. I started off as an actor, and I did lots of work all over the world for a number of years. But somewhere along the line, I started to get involved with an organization called V-Day, which is an organization that works internationally to end violence against women and girls. It's run by Eve Ensler, who wrote the Vagina Monologues for any theater goers. And sort of my work in the theater world and my new passion for activism sort of joined forces around that point, which was about just over 10 years ago. And so since then, I've been creating programs and working with survivors of trauma and sort of finding incredible amounts of joy in bringing some of the skills that are normally placed just in the theater world towards a process of healing. So finding ways to help empower voices and strengthen bodies that have experienced trauma and find new ways to reclaim our own voices.
Mm-hmm. And so you have quite an extensive theater background. How does theater become connected to healing and sexual violence for you?
Well, some of the training and then some of the work that I do, some of it comes from storytelling, and so learning how to write your own story. You know, words are very powerful. And finding how to own the words that you use can be really, really transformative experiences, which is why I'm really passionate about the storytelling workshops that I've also provided in the past and with KSAC. But another element that is very often forgot or sort of lagged behind as maybe the last stage in the process of healing is physical empowerment and reclaiming your body. And that doesn't have to be aggressive, but it needs to be joyful. And finding joy within the expression of our body can sometimes be the most challenging part for a lot of people who've experienced trauma. And, you know, in theater, most of the work that I did as an actor was learning to use your body in all different kinds of facets. I do a lot of physical theater. And so you're really put in sort of an advanced course, crash course on how to use your body effectively and how to take power over it. And so what I do is I steal some of those tools from my creative movement classes, and then I apply them with work for survivors.
Mm-hmm. And so we're in a COVID world, so these sessions are going to be happening on Zoom. Will you be able to see me during the session?
I will not. People who are choosing to join will be totally invisible. You'll have just a blank screen where you log in, but you'll be able to watch me. So I can be instructing. You'll be able to see me move and flow, and you can follow what I do or not follow what I do, or take notes about what I do. But you'll be completely hidden, so you really do get the opportunity to move as if no one's watching.
So what are these online flow sessions going to look like then?
So I guess the best way I could sort of differentiate the work that I do compared to maybe a yoga class or an aerobics class or what you might anticipate an exercise-based class would be is that I incorporate a lot of creative movement. So it will mostly be a lot of gentle stretching. This is a program that's available for all abilities. You can be sitting, you can lean against a wall, you can participate however your body needs to. So you really get to have full control over how you participate. But sort of the main difference really lies in that, you can go to an aerobics class, you can go to a yoga class even, and you can follow the instructor the entire time. You can follow the poses, you can do everything everyone else is doing, but you have the ability to check out your brain. You can sort of go into that, like maybe it begins mindful, but it sort of might lag into, oh, did I make my lunch today, or did I do this? And you can sort of fall into that, we call it sort of a mental dead zone. And it's nothing against yoga, because part of yoga is needing to allow your brain to erase any of those added thoughts and just to let your mind free. But this work actually is engaging a creative energy, both mentally and physically. So I'm going to ask you to be creatively connected to your movement. And that might mean creating your own stretches. It might mean finding a new way to move. I might give you a suggestion, but you might find that there's a different way of moving that is more joyful for you. And so in that lens, it sort of bleeds a little bit more into a kind of dance class, but with a lot of creative freedom.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say, like, how do you own your own creative movement while following an instructor?
Great question. So the way that the program is structured is that for every session, I'm going to begin with a pretty basic standard number of stretches. So I'll walk you through some roll downs. So anyone who has any spine or neck injuries or pain, if anyone's on their computer a lot, this will be fantastic for you. So we'll do some basic stretches, and you can sort of more or less follow along to your degree of needs. As we go along in the exercises, I might be a little bit more purposefully vague. And so I'll suggest, why don't you explore your shoulder, and we'll move, and I'll have some music playing so you won't be completely in silence. And you can watch me, and you can see sort of how I might discover a new stretch for my shoulder as I move, but you can also come up with your own way of moving as you go. So the rules are pretty easily lifted. So I might just focus on an area of the body to stretch, and then you kind of fill in the steps from there. And then sort of as we progress and you feel a little more comfortable with deciding how you want to move, it will bleed into more of what feels like sort of creative movement, dancing, not very far from if you just played your favorite song and just moved the way you wanted to in your own room, which I've always found to be more fun than going for a run. So
definitely. I don't know about you guys tuning in, but I definitely felt a little called out when Peyton's like, on your computer all day. And I'm like, oh man. So, I think that this class is going to be really important. But people might be confused, like, why is learning about body movement important for healing?
it's a good question. What I always say is, and I'm most definitely quoting Brene Brown on this, so I take no credit, but, she says, the body and the mind are very often at war. The problem is the body always keeps tabs, and the body always wins. So if you're handling a lot of stress, if you're experiencing stress in life, even a normal amount of stress, your brain might say, I don't have time to deal with this right now because I'm at work, so I'm just going to tuck that away somewhere and deal with it later. Your body's going to respond with, okay, that's fine, I got it, and it'll place it maybe in your jaw or your neck or your hip or your leg, and it'll find little pockets to just put that stress, and I promise I'll deal with you later. And if we don't honor our bodies for carrying,
and I think the issue is we don't deal with it later, right? And then all of a sudden it's like, why can't I move my neck anymore? And you're like this, right? So
yeah, it creeps up on you, but when it does come, it usually comes with an injury. And so what I really encourage people to do is to find small ways to stretch daily, just in little ways, just like when you get out of bed in the morning, to give yourself, a cartoon, give an actual stretch and see what that feels like. We're really prohibited in the way we move our body, and especially for women, because we are trained societally to make ourselves physically smaller. And even the notion intellectually that we've taken in as part of an identity that we should be small, or it's ideal to be small, actually shrinks our body. And so our spine has adapted quite unfortunately as a result. So there's lots of little things that we can do to help just take up a little more space.
I love, and I'm listening to you explain this, and to me it almost sounds like a duality of like a little bit of mindfulness work, because you're thinking about yourself in the present moment, about how you're moving through space, but also mindfulness about bringing yourself into your body. How is it feeling when you move this way? And just really focusing on every little aspect and, you know, the movement attached to it.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, when you create those things together, it's something that we call in the creative term as flow, which is why this is called flow. And it's the experience when you're physically and mentally so intertwined and engaged with what you're doing that you lose sense of what's happening around you in all time. So if you're doing an activity that you could do for an hour, but it felt like 5 minutes, that does an incredible amount for your sanity, for your mental health, and for the level of stress that you have in your life. It's one of the highest indicators in terms of your level of happiness. It's how they fraction in how happy a person are you. They've noticed that the happiest people in the world experience flow on a regular and daily basis. So this is sort of an offering of flow. So even if movement is not your jam, even if you feel a little bit self-conscious about trying something new, and I get it, creative movement classes can be kind of scary. I dare you to dip your toes in for this, because one, you'll be completely hidden. You don't have to show up to this class. You just have to click on. So you can participate as much as you want and no one will even see you. And two, it really will be at your own pace. So you have full control over how you want to be involved when you do log on.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that you mentioned was stretch and dancing. How much of a stretcher or a dancer do I have to be part of these sessions?
You don't have to have a single class under your belt. And that's the great thing that I love from coming from a creative approach. There is no advanced class in creative movement. This work is just, it's meant for everyone. And however you creatively express yourself is the right way to express yourself. And by that, we're just stretching. It's just stretches. You know, we're not creating pretzels with our bodies. We're not flipping our legs over our heads. We're just doing roll downs, which is just having your spine roll down and roll back up. And the incredible effects of some of that work is really lasting. And the reason that it's so useful is that we take our time when we do it. We don't rush through these exercises. They're really, really simple. So anyone is able to do this.
And if you do become a pretzel, then that's on you. And
so be it.
And you choose to be the best pretzel that you can be. You can be a sweet pretzel or like a twisted pretzel, whatever.
Oh yeah. Well, one thing I will really emphasize in the sessions that I have noticed is something that unfortunately needs to be said often. And that is that tension and stress is not a bad thing. So if you're doing a stretch and you find pain, you know, if I ask you to, you know, if you're sitting on the ground and I ask you to stretch down and put your hands, you know, in front of you, and the goal is to have your spine as close to the floor as possible. If you move your neck this far and there's pain and you can't go any further, that's not a fail. It doesn't mean, oh, I didn't do the stretch correctly. Gentle stretching is an act of finding where the stress is and giving release to it by finding it. It's a success when you find it. It's not a negative experience to find where your limits are as a body. And so it's really important to show compassion and gratitude for what our body's doing for us. And if there is a lot of tension, it's not because you're failing as a body. It's because you carried a lot of stress in that place. And so it just means that we have to put a little more time and energy towards thanking that part of the body. That's all.
Definitely. And so if you're interested in registering for this program, you can contact KSAC. generally, or you can contact Ashley. That is ACADLDER at kawartha, SAC.ca. And these sessions are going to be happening throughout July. They're going to be Zoom sessions. They will be happening every Wednesday, July 8th, 15th, 22nd, and 29th from 1:30 to 3 p.m. I cannot believe we're in July already, tomorrow.
The summer is speeding past us.
It's going by so fast. Anyway, Peyton, so much. Thank you so much for hanging out today, talking about this incredible group. And the thing that I love about what the Kawartha Sexual Assault Center is that there's a variety of healing supports. It's not just go to a counselor and bada boom, bada bing, you're better, right? Counseling may work for someone and counseling may not work for someone, but what brings us together to know that we aren't alone. And we've seen people on our expressive arts drop-ins that are happening live on our Instagram and Facebook, people tuning in from the Philippines, showing their art. And it's been incredible to just know that you are most certainly not alone in this small world that we have. And so I thank you for creating this program, running this program, and creating a space for all different types of survivors, regardless of age, body type, gender. Anyone is able to join this.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's so beautifully said. Yeah, it is a really overwhelming time that we're all living in, and our bodies are paying for it right now. I know we're home, we're cramped, we're confined, but it is so encouraging to see organizations like KSAC bring out the best in people and be able to offer programs like this. And I'm so thrilled to be a part of it.
Amazing. Well, thank you everyone so much for joining. Peyton, is there any last words or anything else that you wanted to add?
Just have a wonderful day and be kind to yourself.
Yes, I love it. Thank you everyone so much and enjoy the rest of your Tuesday.
Thanks, Alicia.
Bye.